Good afternoon, everyone. It is Tuesday afternoon, and yes, I'm joining you here from behind the altar with my clergy robe and stole on to tell you a little bit about how things have changed for us over the last few months. Last year, as we began our stewardship campaign, which we do every year about this time, I chose the verse from Isaiah chapter 43, verse 19. It goes something like this. I am about to do a new thing. Now it springs forth. Do you not perceive it? I will make a way in the wilderness and rivers in the desert. I chose that verse last year for our stewardship campaign because it was my first year here at First United Methodist Church in Parkersburg. And in my life, anyway, I felt like God was doing a new thing. And I hoped for our whole congregation as well. You see, I had been a mission project director for 9 years. And I very clearly heard God calling me back into parish ministry. So for me, it was God saying to me, I'm doing a new thing. Do you not perceive it? But then March hit, and all kinds of new things began to happen, and no, I didn't perceive it. I had no idea that I would be standing here on a Tuesday afternoon in October talking about a stewardship campaign in a time of pandemic, when things that I have never thought would be familiar are familiar to me. An empty sanctuary filled with caution tape, blocking off pews where people cannot sit on Sunday morning, has now become normal for us. My mask, always at my side, has become normal for us. I have gotten used to speaking behind a mask, to recognizing people with just their eyes, to listening carefully to voices. It's not something that I perceived last year this time as a way to do ministry. For several months, through the end of Lent and even to Easter and beyond, I spent Saturday afternoons preaching to an empty sanctuary as we recorded so that we could get service online. And then on Sunday mornings, I spent the time praying that we would have all been together, imagining your faces in my mind, speaking your names in prayer. And then I began to realize that there were people joining us who had never joined us before. People who watched us online through Facebook and YouTube. I began to get messages from people who said to me, I appreciated that scripture passage you used. I appreciated that prayer you prayed. I appreciated the music that came forth. I appreciated you doing this. And somehow people who have never been in our sanctuary, who do not know us, are now a part of us in a way that I never imagined last year this time. Behold, I am doing a new thing. Do you not perceive it? Sometimes God does things that we don't perceive. Sometimes God does things among us that challenges us, and yet also reminds us that God is in the midst of it with us. So we have faced a pandemic together this year. So we have had worship at times when there's been no one in the sanctuary. So we have celebrated together on Sunday morning, fully masked and sitting 6 feet or more apart. A screen has become permanent fixtures in our sanctuary, not only here on Sundays in front of me, but also at our lectern and the pulpit when other people join us. It's different, and it doesn't always feel natural to us. But in the midst of it, God is doing a new thing among us. And isn't that what growing in community is all about? Isn't that what growing in our faith is all about? That God will do new things among us, new things that help us to grow, new things that reaches out to our community, new things that draw us together to help us understand how God is with us, even in these times of pandemic. I think that the theme for this year can still be Isaiah 43:19. Behold, I am doing a new thing. Do you not perceive it? I will make a way in the wilderness and rivers in the desert. Except I think that Isaiah would add a word to what God is saying to us. And I think the theme can read like this. Behold, I am still doing a new thing. Do you not perceive it? Our world has changed in the last year. Our lives have changed in the last year. And the way the church does ministry has changed in the last year. But what hasn't changed is that God is still with us. God still loves us. God still is merciful, and God still calls us to go out and to reach people in new ways, to share with all people that we are loved and held and cherished in the arms of God, all of us. That is the new thing that God does among us every day. It is the new thing that God still does with us. It is the new thing that God will continue to do among us. So, as we begin our time of thinking about stewardship together over the next 3 weeks, God is still saying to us, I am with you, church. I am with you, my beloved people. Yes, things look different, but it is a new thing. And you will perceive it as you will feel my love and my hope among you. May it be so. Thanks be to God. Amen.